Hello and welcome to the 145th edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Brucker and I'm coming to you live here today from Casa de Brucker, where we're going to be having another fantastic world-class beer from the Unibroue Brewing Company in Quebec, Canada. Today we're going to be having what I would consider to be their best beer, even though they do make a lot of good beers. But the Le Fin de Monde is what we're going to be doing today. The Le Fin de Monde is a Belgian-style triple. And just to give you an idea of the quality of this beer is rated 97 out of 100, which makes it, of course, a world-class beer. But it is also rated as the #1 Belgian-style triple in the world. So you would think a Belgian-style triple, the #1 would come from Belgium, all right? Well, they did research on a strand of Belgian yeast for like 18 months of researching this special strand of yeast that they got from Europe to come up with this beer. And I think they did a phenomenal job. I think it's a great beer. Now the beer clocks in at 9% alcohol by volume. And I don't know if you can see that, but we are pouring it into a Le Fin de Monde glass. We got Le Fin de Monde glasses here. So we're using proper glassware for the pour. So I'm going to go ahead and start pouring this so we can talk about it. Now, like with most Belgian style beers, triples, whatever kind of Belgian style beer, we want to get a good head on there. And you can see right off the bat the quality of this beer. From the amount of carbonation, you got obviously great carbonation. Now, I did pour it a little bit heavy, and I might have been a little bit too crazy, but we're going to go ahead and pour a little bit more in here, and then we'll talk about this beer, okay? Now, you're going to see it's almost a hazy color. This is a bottle fermented beer, so it's bottled and then fermented in the bottle and re-fermented in the bottle. A very interesting type beer here. Okay, so the smell. Let's talk about the smell while I'm continuing to pour just a little bit in here. The smell right off the bat, you get that yeast. The yeast that we talk about with a lot of the Belgian style beers. You get that yeast or the yeasty, the ester smell of the beer from the brewing process. But in this one, you also get like a coriander type scent, and there's like a peppery type smell that you get in there, but it's not like a black pepper smell; it's more like a white pepper smell. And then there's some other spices I can't quite pick up on, but there's a fruitiness to it also. So you're getting all the characteristics of a really good, right in the smell, you're getting all the characteristics of a really good Belgian beer. And I do like the haziness to it. And then you can't really tell because I got the head up so high, but the foam is sticking to the glass, which is, as we've talked about before, is a sign of a high quality beer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a sip of this beer here so we can see, because this isn't my first time having this beer. Obviously, you don't have beer glasses on a beer that you've never had before. I've had this many, many times before. As a matter of fact, years ago, we used to go to World of Beer in town here, and they used to, for happy hour, I don't know if it was $2.50 for a pint of this delicious beer, but we went there every time they had it, because they had it, it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night special, and plus they had, wing specials and food specials. You couldn't go wrong. I mean, when you get this beer for $2.50 a bottle on tap, run for it, because it's a really good beer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a sip of this. So right off the bat, I always pick up on the yeast flavor in the beer. and you get the good Belgian yeast. You do get a strong coriander I'm tasting in there. There is a fruity sweetness to it, but not a sweet beer, if that makes any sense. So you get the sweetness on your tongue, but the way it finishes, it almost finishes with a little bit of spice. So it's not like some Belgian style beers, they'll make it overly sweet or overly overly hoppy, they won't do it right. But the beauty of this beer is you get up front, you get a little bit of spiciness, then you get a sweet, and then you get it to finish with a little bit of spiciness. So you're getting just just perfectly kind of balanced beer where it kind of blends together as you go through there. But there's definitely there's some sweetness, almost like maybe a orange, banana, maybe some apple almost. It's a unique taste, and that's why I've always been a fan of this beer. I think they put a lot of work into making this beer as delicious as it is. And obviously, you're not going to get a 97 world-class rated beer unless you did do the research and get the right strands of the yeast to really make it a solid beer. And I would have to question number one Belgian pale in the world, because there are a lot of really good Belgian style triples. I would put this right up there with any of them. I don't know if I can say it's better than like a West Malt triple or Chimay triple. I think it's right up there with them. I think I would really, maybe one day I'll do it, have a triple taste off where we'll put them side by side, maybe even a blind taste test to see which one I would prefer, because I love them all. I mean, Belgian style triple or a quad are some of my favorite styles of beer. And for me to put a Canadian beer right up there with the Belgian beers, it's good. But maybe we're gonna have to do a blind taste test. We'll call it I'll have to come up with a name for it, and we'll have a taste test of the finest Belgian style triples. And there are other great triples out there. Don't get me wrong, St. Bernardus makes a great triple. I mean, there's lots of good ones, but I've always said in the past that I thought that the West Malt triple was probably my favorite. But I also love some other great triples. So, I think I'm going to start working on it now. We're going to have to come up with an official, what does Matt thinks the best on Belgian style triples? Because honestly, I couldn't tell you. My tastes change daily, and all I know is this is a fantastic beer. I think it deserves its 97 rating. I think it deserves to be as one of the best triples in the world. I can't say the best, which is what Beer Advocate rates it, because there's some others that are right there, but it's definitely top 2, top 3, maybe even number 1. But I'm gonna have to do a blind taste test to make sure that I've got it right. They've been brewing this beer not near as long as the Belgian style beer have been brewing the triples. They've been brewing this beer since 1994. It's won 55 awards in that time since they've been brewing it. I think 13 platinum, 30 gold, 6 silver, and 5 bronze. So obviously, I'm not the only one who loves this beer. So make sure, if you see the Le Fen de Monde by Unibroue out of Quebec, Canada, grab this beer, because it is really, truly a phenomenal beer. I am going to sit back and enjoy the rest of this beer because it's just something special. That's good. So I'm going to let you go because I'm going to go enjoy this beer. But if you've enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having tasting beer, talking about beer. And make sure they subscribe to Beer Issues, because I want everybody to know about, how much fun we're having. And if you want any cool gear like this cool Beer Issues t-shirt, make sure you check out shop.beerissues.com. And as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.